got something to show you. And you just thought it was a jacket. You just went, oh yeah, that's nice. Another jacket. He went, oh, that's nice, yeah. And I went, yeah, but zoom in on the cuff. And he was looking at it, and he zoomed in to the cuff, and he just spotted GBF, and he literally just like let out this biggest, like the biggest wail of a cry you've ever seen. Like, and he was like, oh, and I broke down and I grabbed him.
Ideal. Right, James, thanks for coming in, mate.
Thank you for having me, yeah.
Appreciate it. So we're here today really have a little chat about your business, what you're doing, your story, why you've got started. So I'm not going to attempt to say the name myself. First of all, I'll let you say it and tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so it's Latin for start, which causes a lot of problems, but it's cool problems I wanted to have. I think of all, like, when you think of the best brands, I always think that, like, there's always a bit of an argument of how you say them, whether it's Nike or Nike or Adidas or Adidas, or people always have their own little way. And it's how I say it. I've never studied Latin, so don't trust me, even though it's my brand. But it's I say it Vive Ut Vivas.
Okay.
Whereas my mum says it Vive Ut Vivas, and I think she did do Latin at school and things like that.
So she's going to know.
Well, yeah, and obviously I'm part-time at a pub at the moment. I get a lot of when you get the drunken customers being like, yeah, no, I study Latin, and this is how you say it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's my brand, mate. So
I'll say how I want to say it.
However I want to say it, and that's the end. So yeah, Vive Ut Vivas, and it's Latin for, it translates to live that you may live, which I thought was quite a positive message, and all that. It basically means that like live every day to the fullest, live as if there's no consequences, all that sort of thing.
That's brilliant.
And I thought, well, especially nowadays with like everybody comparing their lives on social media to how, like you've seen those, everyone's seen those videos on YouTube at the moment where, like, or not on YouTube, on Instagram and stuff, where you've got someone looking out a plane window and then it zooms out and there's a guy holding the toilet seat and there's a screen behind it and things like that. And it's like, not everything you see online is real.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, all the expectations versus reality, photos and stuff.
So it's kind of like, I think I did, I did like a little interview for the Abergavenny Chronicle, and I said in there, and I don't know where it came from. It's one of those moments, where you're like, that's it. That's exactly what I'm, yeah. And I said that it basically means that, like, if you stop comparing yourself. If you like raving, go to a rave. Join. If you like gigging, go to a gig. Whatever you're into, do it. If you like cup of tea at home on your own, fine. Do you know what? Just enjoy life and don't like let other people. Oh, you should be doing this. Yeah. You should be going to uni. You should be having kids. You should be having married by now and all that. So
yeah, because so many opinions out there on what you should do when it's your life.
Pushed onto you by media, by parents, by family, by friends. So it's just like, just do you.
I think so. Yeah, it's a great message to put out there.
So it's, Vive Ut Vivas. So there's a lot of arguments about it. Even my cousin messaged me. He was like, "Don't say it like that, man. You've got to say it like this." I prefer it like this. So it's all quite good, and it's like a very personal thing as well, because it comes from, believe it or not, I don't know if this was your next question, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Go for it.
The next question. The way it came from was, I looked into my family history, and it kind of like out of nowhere, I seen it a couple of times when I looked into my family history, that on my second name is Falconer, and around it is a badge with the clan badge, where you go back into the Scottish clans and the Highlands and all that, because it's a Scottish name. You go back into it, and it's got the clan badge has got like an angel with his wings and like a wreath around it, and around it's got a border saying Vive Ut Vivas.
All right, okay.
I remember looking at it and thinking, underneath it's got Falconer, and I remember looking at it and thinking, what was that even? How do you even say that?
Yeah.
Done a load of research into it, how it's said and all that stuff, and that was even before I did. Before I got made redundant or anything like that, so I wasn't even doing this, and then I went through a load of names, a load of everything. I went through my Spotify playlist trying to find a name for a clothing brand, something that would be cool and all that. I couldn't find anything. I had a list of them, but I was not happy with any of them. And then one day it just went, hang on a minute, what was that? What was that?
Mate, that's wicked.
And then I looked into it and I was like, I'm having that. That's mine.
Yeah. Well, it proper clicks though, doesn't it? It resonates with yourself as well.
Yeah.
And it's not just something you've plucked out the sky.
There's a bit of like, I could have bought a t-shirt to show you as well, but like on the website, you'll see it all on there. It's got another logo, another version of logo. It's like a wavy. It's kind of like it's going for more like a psychedelic 60s kind of style wavy logo. And on the background of that, we've put like a tartan. And it's a green, black and blue tartan. And that's the Falconer family tartan as well.
Oh, right, that's wicked.
I'm trying to use that throughout the collection from here and on. So see how.
Yeah, I was going to say, goes. Like, how do you go about starting off a design and what's like your creative process?
It's based on. It's a funny thing because like I've always been mad on clothes. I've always loved clothes since I was about like I don't know, from 18 up. A little bit when I was younger, but not as much.
Yeah.
And then everybody has that typical. Well, everyone. I think of my era of say 2008, 2009. I was about 18, 19 then, and everyone was dressing with those silly like the baggier jeans and the V-neck jumpers and all that sort of thing. I look back at photos now and I'm like, oh, what was that?
Yeah, what were we doing?
What was that? So I got the job in a clothing shop and everything, and ended up building my way up there, and I learned a lot there. And from there, I found that like I kind of found my own style. We're influenced by a lot of things, like a lot of past things and all that. A lot of music, a big influence of that. So I kind of my wardrobe, you wouldn't believe it, and I'm not lying when I tell you, I've literally got like over 100 jackets in my wardrobe. It is really crazy, and.
Must have cost a fortune.
Well, do you know what? In my old job, it was expensive clothes, but in my old job, we used to get a big, heavy discount, and we used to get uniform. So if it wasn't for that, I would never have had that much money.
Yeah.
That much clothes.
Yeah.
Money would be nicer. But I never would have had that much clothes because there was just no way I would have been able to afford it. But basically, I've always known what I'd liked. Do you know what I mean? I was never like a trend follower or like, if this is in fashion now or that's in fashion now. I liked what I liked, and I was like cool. So I kind of base a lot of stuff off things that I've seen in the past, stuff I've bought, stuff I've got for my whole job, stuff I've seen but I could never afford. Things like that as well. And I think, well, I'll make that, but I'll try and make a version of it not affordable, because I didn't want it to be like a cheaper brand. I didn't want it to be like an overpriced brand. I wanted it to sit somewhere nicely in the middle.
Yeah.
And so I look at something like which might be really premium or luxury, and I think, well, how can I take that, put my own spin on it, but like make it affordable.
Yeah.
Again, not affordable. It sounds like I'm like belittling the brand here, but what I mean is like that's it in between.
Because you don't want it to be. You want like your friends and stuff like that to be able to afford it as well, and it's not just a high end thing. Mate, they look class as well. Like
Thank
that.
you, mate.
Yeah.
It's The other thing I do a lot, which, like, you'll notice, well, my girlfriend will tell you, my mum will tell you, my friends will tell you, if I'm watching anything on TV, I get excited by the clothes. Do you know, it could be it could be any program. I'm like, oh, look at that jacket, rewind that, and I'll be like little sketch out of it. I done one for what's one of the old Goodfellas. I was watching Goodfellas, and there's a scene where the guy gets arrested in the car. Him and is it Robert De Niro in Goodfellas?
I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen it, but
they get arrested. He's put in the back of the car and he's got his shirt on, and I literally paused it and sketched it out there and then. And I was like, look at this shirt, and I did it in like, because I kind of gone for the colours, the signature colours for the brand is like black, blue, and green from the tartan.
Yeah.
So I sketched it out. The scene was in black and white, so I couldn't even tell what the colours were. So I sketched it out and I changed it to like the brand colours, so like little wingtips on the collar and all that. And I thought, this is going to be amazing. So literally anything like that, I'm always like looking at it and going, that's cool.
I was gonna ask you, like, funny enough, how many hours of the day does it consume your mind? Obviously that's kind of answered that in a way.
Yeah. I never just stopped thinking about it. I think that's the best thing about it. That's what makes it so enjoyable, because I know it's something that I'm passionate about. The three things I always loved was that football, clothes, football, and music. I play guitar and I'm not good enough to be in a band. I was all right at football, but I was never good enough to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what's left? Let's give clothes a go.
Why not, mate? And I think like you can feel the passion coming from you. You know, you can tell you're up for it when you're talking about it.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think that goes a long way, doesn't it? Where like I'm not a designer. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a designer. But what I'm going to do is try while the brand's young, and hopefully, who knows, one day maybe I can afford to hire one.
Yeah, mate. That's it. So like, do you get your friends involved with designs and stuff? Was it solely you?
Yeah, I have done. I lived with, sorry, when I was at my old job, I lived with my manager, and she actually made me, I only started part-time, she made me assistant manager.
Yeah.
And then she made me, she made me assistant manager, and then she got promoted, and she put me forward for manager, and in the end I went from part-time to managing the shop. And I lived with her for 3 years during that time. So it was like manager and assistant manager living together. And she's got a really cool style, very like streetwear kind of style, which is quite different to me. But I was only messaging her the other day, and I was like, look, I want to get you involved, because the thing is, all my experience is menswear. So when it comes to women's wear, I was never going to do a women's line. But literally, I was working in the pub and stuff, and girls were asking me, like, when you bring out these t-shirts, and I was showing them designs, like, oh, I want one. I was like, well, I'm not doing women's. And they're going, you should. So I sampled a few women's t-shirts, and they were brilliant. So I was like, great.
You can't miss out half the population, exactly. I suppose, can you? Yeah.
My thoughts were like, I mean, I know it's 2020 and anyone can wear whatever they like. That's how it should be. But you get a lot more women wearing men's clothes than you do men wearing women's clothes. Yeah. So, like, I thought, well, if I do menswear, it kind of doesn't cover both, but you know what I'm saying?
They'd be able to buy it and wear it, and it would kind of suit.
It's mainly down to, it's not down to styles or anything. Like I say, people wear what they want, but it's mainly down to fits, and the women's figures are a lot sort of slimmer and smaller than men's. So it's easier for women to wear a baggier, oversized t-shirt than it is a man to wear a slimmer fit t-shirt. So I was only messaging her the other day, being like, look, I don't know a lot about women's wear. I've never worn it. I've never worked in it, because our shop was only menswear. So I was like, I need some ideas. And she hit me back with loads straight away. And she got all excited about it. I was like, yeah. So I do. And as soon as I got anything, sort of designed, or any graphics or anything like that, I show my mates in the pub. I show like all my closest friends, and I don't go showing it to just anybody. And
So people you trust and peer review, isn't it?
Yeah, really, especially those that are into clothes. I take that opinion very like highly. I take everyone's opinion highly, obviously, because everyone's into different stuff, so it's always good.
Everyone's a potential customer.
But especially someone who's like especially someone who's like really into clothes. I really like take what they say. If you know. You do get, working in the pub, you do get a lot of, I'll tell you what you should do.
I bet you do.
Come 10:30 at night when everyone's had a skinful and you're still on the bar, and they're going, I'll tell you what you should do.
I bet they're starting one of these. Quiet.
You should make that. And it's like, I'll think about it. But But yeah, the whole design thing, and the whole like, I'm working with a brand agency called Pros and Cons Agency, and they're brilliant in what they do. They've all got experience. My experience is very different to theirs. Like, I'm on the retail side, and like I know what kind of what customers want and things like that, and what's popular. And they've worked a lot of like the behind the scenes of retail side. So in the offices and all that, they've got all these contacts with factory suppliers abroad who are all like legit, all that thing. And one of them, they only started 2 years ago, and one of them I went to school with. He's one of my best mates.
Oh, really?
He's in Loughborough, so I messaged him, and I was like, I messaged him, and I was like, what do you think of this idea? And he was like, yeah, brilliant, let's get on it. So I've got them guys up there who are helping me no end, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have even nowhere to start, mate.
I know, because who do you trust in it? Because I was looking a while ago, like, just in my own head, I was thinking, like, oh, I love wearing, like, snapbacks and stuff.
Yeah. I
was thinking I'd love to, like, put a snapback out there. There's so many out there, but I was just thinking, like, I'd love to do it. And I was looking.
It's worth it.
Where to start.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I respect it so much, because I was looking at your site, and you've got so many different pieces.
Do you know what? That was never the plan, though. That was never the plan. Kind of landed on my feet with that. It was kind of like the plan was, how can I explain it? We had maybe 20 lines, but that was just, it was maybe like 5 lines, but all different colours, so it came to about 20 products. I went to them with it. They were like, the startup costs are going to be like this. And then they showed me this model where it was like, oh, you could do it like this, and it's a lot less risk. Otherwise, it was going to be piling in thousands of pounds I could be left with like all these clothes. But instead, we put our heads together, came up with this way of doing it a little bit more risk-free. Yeah. And it kind of like, I was like, great, brilliant, let's do it like that. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least I've given it a go. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I think you've got to as well. And so, you started off in the clothing store in Cardiff. Yeah. And so what was the transition from that to this? How did it come about?
I don't know if I should mention the name or not, but I used to work for Pretty Green, which is Liam Gallagher's clothing range, and I was there for like 8 years. Like I said, I started part-time, ended as manager. The company got bought out by another well-known clothing company, and they shut all stores apart from the Manchester one.
Yeah.
So suddenly 8 years I put into this, like traveling to Cardiff every day from Abergavenny, so it was a long trek as well, apart from the 3 years I lived there. And it was gutting. It was gutting because, like, literally, like I say, I worked my way up. I put everything into it. I was like, right, I loved it as well. I loved doing like the displays in the shop. I had a team which I loved, and I thought I couldn't have asked for a better team. They were all great. So it was kind of like it was really gutting. It would have been to April 2019 it was, and I came out of there, didn't have a clue what to do. One of my good friends runs a pub in Abergavenny. She was like, "Well, jump on the bar while you're thinking and working out what your next move is. Jump on a bar. You know, got a job for you." And all that. I was like, "Great." She said, "For as long as you want it." And she was great with me as well. She looked after me. Like, it was because it was a tough time.
I bet, yeah.
Like, it's like it's been a weird one because I've never lost a job before, like through redundancy.
Yeah.
And I always thought, like, when people spoke about it and when people said how, like, sort of like gut wrenching and stuff it is, I always kind of thought, yeah, but it's a job. Do you mean you get another job? And then I realized, I was like, when you love something like that, you're like,
yeah,
shit, like, what do I do now? So it was a bit scary, and plus I was 29 years old. I was about to turn 30, and I was like, "What do I do? Like, do I go back to uni?" Because I went to uni when I was younger. I was like, "What do I do?" And I toyed about applying for a few jobs. And I didn't really get anywhere. I had a few interviews and stuff, which I went to. My heart wasn't in it. I was like, I didn't really want to go working for another clothing brand and selling other clothes and all that stuff. And my original plan, my original dream, was what I always wanted to do, was open a shop.
Yeah.
Like all the brands I like, all the Adidas trainers and all that sort of thing. And that's what I always wanted to do. And it's just not viable nowadays. You walk through town centres and everyone's shut. There's empty units everywhere.
It's dead. Even the big firms are struggling, like,
exactly.
You know, first-hand experience.
So I literally thought, nah, like, I'm not even going to risk that. Plus, the brands I wanted to do, the expensive brands I wanted to do, the buy-ins were ridiculous. And I was like, I ain't got the money for that. So I thought, what should I do? And one day, I was still working as part-time at the pub then, and I one day went for a walk with my mum, and we were walking around Abergavenny somewhere, and around the lanes and stuff, and I got talking to her about, I'd love to do this, like clothing brand. And she was like, okay, so what would you do? And I said, well, my mate Steve is working as a brand, like, started a brand agency. I'd go to him, he'd be able to help me out and all this, and I'm sure he'd be able to help me out. I haven't asked him yet, but I'm sure he would. Told him my ideas of starting with a small range, like simple things like the little logo T-shirts and things that people like, the simple stuff that people buy, not going too like garish and out loud and all that. Sticking to simple stuff that people like, the basics and all that. And she was like, "Oh, right, okay, yeah." Didn't really say much about it. I thought that maybe in her head she was going, "Come on, get a proper job." I thought, yeah. So I didn't really think any more about it. And then one day I was sat home having lunch with my dad. I think before it was one of my days off actually, and we literally were watching something on TV, and he turned the TV off and he finished his sandwich. Or we finished our sandwich, turned the TV off, and he just went, "So, your mum tells me that you want to start a clothing brand," and I was like, "Oh, no, it was just playing it down. It's just something that I had in mind, and maybe I thought one day and all that."
Yeah.
And I had a good couple of grand for my redundancy pay, and obviously he knew that, and he was like, "Well, go on then, tell me what's your idea, what's your business plan?" So I was like, so I pretty much said the same thing I did to my mum. I was like, reeled it all off. I was like, yeah, start with these T-shirts and maybe like a jacket or two jackets or so on. And he was like, okay, yeah, okay. And my dad was a businessman. He since we moved to Abergavenny in 1990, I was like 6 months old, and he used to work at the Hoover factory in Merthyr.
Yeah.
Got shut down. Well, not shut down, but got made redundant. He started his own company doing like appliance repairs, so like dishwashers and washing machines and all that stuff around Abergavenny. Got quite well known, and obviously that was his company until he retired then. So I mean, like, I'm 30 now, so he was doing that. He retired 6 years ago, so he was doing that for about 24 years then.
Yeah,
maybe a little less because of the time he went to Hoover. But he was stood there and he was sat there and he was like, "So yeah, I could tell, I could feel the judgment." He was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah. So what would you do about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do this, I do that."
Put the pressure on.
Yeah, and he was going, "Okay, well, why don't you use your redundancy pay?" And And I was like, well, yeah, but rather than piss up against the wall, I was like, yeah. Otherwise, I would just probably just would have all gone in.
It's
the pub,
so easy to do that. Isn't it?
Yeah. It would have gone on more clothes than the pub.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the two things that would have gone. So I was like, yeah, I could do actually. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. He goes, so you've got a good bit there. So why don't you give it a go? And I was like, what do you reckon? It's like his seal of approval.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you reckon? He's like, why not?
I bet that was massive.
Yeah. But I played it cool. I was like, yeah, could do. Yeah. And he went, well, go on then. I went, what? He goes, what you sit here for? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, we literally live, Ryman's is at the bottom of our road.
Yeah.
And he went, get down Ryman's, get a pen and pad, start sketching some ideas.
Really,
All that. And I was like, oh yeah, I will. And with that, about 5 minutes, I was down there, bought all this stuff, come back up, spent all afternoon sketching and coming up with, like I say, I went for my Spotify library, come up with names, come up with little logos. I was even going to do like a JF at first for James Falconer. And I thought, well, you got Paul Smith and all these that are like actual designer names, and I was like, I'm not a designer, so there's no point starting a label after my name, Joey. So I thought, all right, then did it all afternoon. Kept going back to it here and there, and I left it on the dinner table. And one day, my mum or my dad, I can't remember, it might be both of them. One of them said, "Oh, we had a little look over what you've done. It's quite good, isn't it?" I was like, "Do you think?" I said, "Yeah." So I messaged my mate Steve, sent all the details to him, come up with that name finally, Vive Ut Vivas. And I was like, what do you think? And Steve was like, brilliant, love it, yeah. And then within an instant, they made them into graphics, sent them back to me. I was like, oh my God, it's like it come to life.
Yeah,
like,
the real thing. Yeah.
It all had like a tartan in the neck, all that sort of thing, which is now coming into this next season, that all the hoodies and sweatshirts are going to have the tartan in the neck. Because my plan basically is to like, when he comes in, like literally just throw it straight back at the next collection and just add a little bit of detail, add a little bit of all that. So, so I got that seal of approval from them, and I was like, cool, I'm going to give this a proper go then. And then
is that like the catalyst, get you going?
Definitely. It was just, it kickstarted me. And then I had my boss, who, like I say, is one of my best friends from the pub. She was pushing me from one side, my dad was pushing me from the other side. I remember working the bar one day, and they were sat in a corner talking and looking over at me, like talking and looking. Then I was like, what? And I took a drink over to him. And she was like, "Oh no, just made a deal with my dad, with your dad, that he's going to keep pushing from his side. I'm going to keep pushing from my side." I was like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, that's kind of how it came about and how I got kickstarted into it. Really, it was kind of something that I guess I'd always thought about, but never thought I'd actually do it.
How must be great just to have that backing from the off.
Well, yeah, and he even said to me, my dad even said to me, he was like, "Look," he said, "use your redundancy pay." He said, "And then I'll back you with a sum." And I was like, really? And for him, my dad was a big saver. He loved his money. I wouldn't say he was tight, but he was like really careful with his money. Do you know? And like if I bought another jacket, I'd have to sort of like smuggle it in the house. He'd be like, "Another jacket." I was like, so he'd be like, he was always a bit like that. And I was like, right, for him to turn around and say that he'd back me with some of his own money, which obviously I know you would do for your son, but it was just that meant that extra.
Thing is, though, I don't know if someone would if they didn't believe in it, though. So that's like a massive show.
If he thought, "Nah, he can't do it," I don't think he would have. So he must have fully believed in me.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, cool. Gonna give us a go. Yeah. So here we are.
Hey, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it. Yeah.
I do even pinch, like now and then I look at it and I think, I love it. I love the logo. I love it all about it. And I think, do I love it because it's me? Is it because it's mine, or is it because like if I saw that someone else would like go, "Oh, fuck, that's really cool. Where'd you get it from?"
Mate. No, I think it's cool. Yeah, 100%.
I do get those odd moments of like questioning it now and then, going, "Is it or isn't it? Isn't it?"
I think everyone's their own worst critic, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you feel you're probably quite
absolutely
until you've probably had someone go, "Oh, mate, that's wicked," and you've got your group of people you trust, obviously, like you said. So
I've had and since the day it launched, I had some like insane support from all my friends. But it's great because like all my friends have supported me. They've all bought. You do get the odd like, "Oh, I need a discount."
Yeah,
but it's expected, isn't it? And I've had all friends, all family. I've got a massive family up in Yorkshire. They're all supporting it. My family in Watford, they're supporting it. And then Abergavenny was just insane. Like people that I didn't even know in Abergavenny, people coming up to me on the bar and going, "Oh, you got that clothing range, haven't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, it looks wicked." And I'm like, "Thanks, man." And as much as Abergavenny have supported, I've also sold to Sweden, America, Germany, all over the UK, like as far up as Glasgow and Edinburgh, and not a lot down south actually. I'm gonna have to work that out. I'm gonna have to work out why. I'm gonna have to work out why. But London and all that area, all fine. They've all bought so far. Like I say, fingers crossed. And when you keep getting returning customers who, again, you don't know, who people aren't from Abergavenny, you're obviously doing something good there, because they don't know you.
Yeah, they're not just buying it for you, they're buying it for the brand, which is
something they like, and they're like cool, and they're happy with the quality of the first thing they bought, so they're like, buy some more. So at the moment, that I get a buzz off it all every time. Every time you,
I bet every little thing as well, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, oh yes, it's amazing, and it is a buzz to think of that someone who likes something that you've done, and they're paying money for something you've done. It's like, that's mad. Like, so,
I bet it gives you a massive buzz.
Yeah, it definitely does. Especially when I launch a new product. I'm like a kid before Christmas. When I'm launching a new product, like say on not like we tend to launch on a Friday, just sort of like, I don't know. I think Friday in my old job they used to launch stuff on a Thursday, and I never quite understood it, but there must be reasons for it. But we've tend to launch on a Friday, and it's just like, I don't know. It's that sort of like, Friday's just a feel-good thing, isn't it? And then if you see some new clothes and you're like, and I just
payday on a Friday for a lot of people.
There's that secret as well. But like, obviously it's not every Friday, is it? But like, when I'm launching something the night before, I'm like a kid before Christmas, so I wake up in the morning, I'm like, like checking it all on my phone, like, is that ready to go? Is that? And I'm messaging the boys in Loughborough, and they're like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry.
I bet a little panic all the time.
And then when you see people start liking it, when it's a new, like buying it and things, and you're like, that's really cool. So it is a buzz. It is a good buzz.
How do you get yourself into like a creative space to do it? Have you got like a method of how you do it? Or? I
am a nightmare. It's like, and I used to be like it with like homework at school. I used to be like it in uni with things like that. I've tried listening to music. I have to be like quiet in a quiet room alone from everything, do you know what I mean, and just work on it, rather than like, I know a lot of people do like studying and things with music playing or whatever, and I'm literally the total opposite. I've got to have it in silence. But what I do is, like I said earlier, when I'm watching a film or watching, I don't know, a gig or something, and I've like something, I'll write it down, or I'll just do a quick little sketch, and then I'll put it aside, and then I'll revisit it then when I'm feeling a little bit like creative or...
so many distractions out there now, isn't there? It's hard work, especially like with your phone and everything. I don't know about you, but I've physically got to actively chuck it to the side, just lose track of time.
And then especially if like you've got your laptop and you've got your phone, and you're like, which one do I use? You've got stuff on there, you're like, what do I do?
Just taking over your brain for hours, isn't it?
So that it's in the summer it was great. It was especially during lockdown, because things I launched during lockdown, and I was like, is this a stupid move? Is this a clever move? I don't know what it is. But I read somewhere that a few places actually that online sales were booming. Obviously, everyone was getting the furlough pay. And nowhere to spend it because everyone was shut and locked down. So I thought, right, well, I want a bit of this.
Now's the time.
I'm going to launch it now. I think we launched it we didn't plan to launch at all. And I think we did it within like a week. We covered everything, was like, right, it's ready to go. Boom, launched it on, I think, a Wednesday. And it just took off, and we were like, it's great, amazing. So in lockdown was brilliant, because I kind of like had so much time to work on it. Whatever we had, any ideas that come, I could just literally go and shut myself away and do it. Obviously now I might be in a pub and I get an idea, and I'm like, I remember that when I get home.
Keep a pad under the bar, is it?
Quick sketch. And so that's kind of how it works for me. Like I say, in lockdown, when the sun was shining, I'd be in the garden, just like pants or my laptop or anything, just working through it. And I'm even teaching myself. It was like a learning curve for me, is even like doing the whole financial side of it, the whole like spreadsheets and everything. Like, which now I'm like, my dad would be brilliant at this. He would have been perfect help. So I was like looking at all and trying to teach myself that, and I've now got an accountant who's been great as well. And even the guys in Loughborough were great with that. They even any questions I had, they were like, do it like this, do it like that. So there's a lot of learning curves for me on this.
It's good though, because I think you're obviously grateful to the people that are helping you as well. So.
Absolutely. I know that without those boys, I couldn't have done it. So I wouldn't, like I say, I wouldn't even know where to start.
What's the name of their
pros and cons?
Pros and cons.
They've got a few brands on their books. They're just growing and growing and growing. They're going to do great. So I'm glad to be in there early.
Definitely. Well, there's a bit of back and forth, obviously, your business for them as well. So and they like I say, they like what I do, what I'm doing. I think when it started, one of the lads did say that like
mine was quite a unique brand to the other brands that they've got on their books.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, we like having a bit of variation and so on. So they were like, that's good for them as well. So I was like, great.
Yeah, well,
so
like,
it works for both of us so far.
Your logo's quite unique. You obviously got the backstory of the family name and everything like that involved with it, and the tartan and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have known that with just looking at it. So explaining it like this is...
That's what I quite like, because I quite like the fact that, like, people don't know about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't know what the tartan was unless you explained it. So I quite like that sort of like... It's
a good story to have with it, isn't it? And it's real, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I like the thought of, like, one day if it's big enough that people were that into it, they'd kind of look for why.
Yeah.
So why is it that tartan, or what does that name mean, or look into it rather than just sort of like, I just like the sound of it or like the look of it. Yeah. So like, hopefully one day it'll get like that. But
yeah, mate, I'm sure it will, especially with the passion you've got. Man. Just keep pushing, innit?
That is it. It's just keeping on it. It's like the other thing I'm learning really quickly is the fact that a lot of designers and brands are now on like autumn winter 21, if not later on. Do you know what they're designing?
Design wise, yeah.
And I'm like, quick, trying to get stuff done for the summer and all. So I'm even waiting like on new stuff for autumn winter now, which we're in. So it's like kind of like as soon as that drops, that'll be launched, and there's loads of good stuff coming. So that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, mate, I bet it's a weird thing designing it a year before you drop it, because you're probably like emotionally detached from it completely. Then, aren't you?
This is kind of like where, like I say, I'm not a designer, and people, all these like top designers and everything, they've all studied it. So they've all, even people now who are in college and university doing it, and I kind of wish I did. Yeah. I mean, it's never too late. I could still do it. But I did sport at uni, and I kind of like, it was great. Kind of regret it a little bit in terms of where I've gone. Rather than going down a sport course, I've gone down the fashion, and yet I haven't. My experience is managing a shop, but at least on top of that, I had a lot of styling sort of training. I had a lot of hands-on with customers and stuff, knowing what they want, knowing what they like. There's definitely two types of customers. One like small logos, one like big garish logos. And I was like, well, if you can cover both bases, like something like that, or something with a little logo.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm kind of little logo type of person. Yeah.
It's funny. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Some people like want you to know what they're wearing. Do you know
they do,
like,
yeah.
Let me show you this big logo I've got.
Yeah, but I think even like that, stand out-ish, but it kind of stands out, but it's not too in your face either. Do you get what I mean?
It's a little more subtle. I've got ones coming now with a tartan printed in the text. So, it's like, again, it's a pattern, but it's still subtle. It's not like all over the top. So things like that are coming out, which are going to be good. I hope. People like.
Are you ever going to do a kilt?
Do you know what? I'd love to. I'd love to.
Keep it with the tartan.
Yeah. I've got a suit at home, and it's from my old job, and it is very, very similar to the Falconer tartan, and it's an entire suit. A tartan suit, and it's like the green and black, and it's like a bit darker than the Falconer tartan, but it's amazing, and it's like one of my favourite things I own. And
you've really got to stand out there.
Yeah. But again, it's like, even though it's a full tartan suit, it's kind of subtle because the dark greens, dark blues, dark, it's like a navy, and the black. It's kind of like subtle, but it's like it's cool as fuck. Yeah, it's really cool, man. So there's I try to cover all bases with it, but because you have to have like a target audience, but if you can kind of have a target audience where you cover a few, you're going to try and so fingers crossed that works out.
Yeah, mate. No, I think it's wicked. Like, and obviously now you're your own boss. How do you cope with managing your time? Because you got to put the pressure on yourself now, haven't you?
Yeah. It is weird. Because like, well, luckily at the moment, the job I do is I'm only doing about 20, 25 hours, so it kind of gives me a lot of time in the days. Yeah. Obviously it's a pub job, so I work like the nights and the weekends, but I got most of the days free. So that's kind of lucky. I haven't really got much else on, to be honest. Yeah. So it's a good job I've got this, I think. Yeah. But I mean, somehow I went into lockdown on 20 hours in the pub and single, and I came out of lockdown with a girlfriend and a clothing business, and now I'm like my pre-lockdown life is very different to my post-lockdown life, and I'm like, whoa, what's happened here? Like,
hey, I think for a lot of people it's kind of been a bit of an eye-opener. You got that time to really reflect on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a weird break where it gives you a now or never kind of moment, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. That was, because I was looking at it, I thought, Joe, I'm 30 years old. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So, like, why not? If I do it and it doesn't work, at least I can say I give it a go. Whereas if say I get, like, another job now, like another managing a shop job, and I get comfortable and I stay in it for, I was in that one for 8 years, so I could stay in it for another 8 years. Suddenly I'm 38 and I'm like, shit, I wish I did that. And what's to say, I never really wanted to go back into retail because it's the state of the place at the moment. Like, shops are shutting left, right, centre, people are being made redundant left, right, centre. I thought I could go into another job for 5 years and it will be like comfortable, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone again. So I thought I want to stay away from retail, really. I know that could happen in any job, but I don't know, just retail just seems really susceptible to it.
I think, like, with online now, it's just kind of killed it, isn't it? Because
without that, yeah.
So many overheads with owning a shop compared to doing an online business. Yeah. I just don't see how it's going to cope.
It is, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just the rates and the stuff are insane. I've looked at units in Abergavenny, and, like, I mean, Abergavenny's not a big town. I know it's like well-known-ish, but it's not like a big town.
It's like another rent.
Yeah.
Some of the rates, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look at the rent, and it's quite attractive, isn't it? But then you see the rents.
It's crazy. So, yeah, it's no surprise that they're shutting, but especially when you've got things like, you've got companies doing next day delivery, like, for £10 a year.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
I'm like, how are you making money? Like, and then free returns, and you're like, so people, like, I could buy something now at, like, what time is it? Like 8:30 at night. I could buy something now; it'll be on my doorstep tomorrow morning. And then if I don't like it, I send it back, and it's refunded within a day or two.
It's crazy. I don't get how these big firms. I'd love to see the figures on what gets sent back, because I know like half a dozen people who order. Like,
how do you
20.
know where your finances are? That's what baffles me. How do you know what you're?
I know. Yeah. You'd never be able to project it, would you?
Surely you're getting like thousands of stuff come back the next day.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it.
I bet they can read it as well. They're like, this woman here, she's ordered a large, a medium, and a small in this.
Two are coming back.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Without a doubt. Unless she wants to wear one now and then she's going to lose a bit of weight. Wear the next one, lose a bit of weight, wear the next one. But yeah, that. I don't know. I don't understand that model. It must work.
It must work.
Look how well these well-known companies are doing. But like, yeah, I just don't understand it. It does amaze me. But
you'll be seeing it soon, mate. Probably.
God, that's a scary thought of that. That's a scary thought. The dream is to be sat in my office while all the others are doing the job.
Yeah, all the worker bees are out there. Yeah.
So, but yeah, now we'll see. I've always been quite hands-on with it because I'm so passionate about it. I think like even if it went big, I think I'd still be like well involved. Do you know? I wouldn't want to sit back. I'd be like, yeah, do this, do that.
I think you've got to be, because it kind of loses something then, doesn't it?
It does.
You're the starter of the whole thing.
Yeah,
so I think
It's kind of like you get a lot of brands and a lot of companies that kind of like, you don't want to say sell out, but like whether you go too commercial or like pander too much to a wider audience or something like that.
Yeah.
But so if I start off with a wide audience, I can try and keep it a wide audience. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one. But like I said, I'm learning as I go along, and sometimes I think that's the best way. You can like study and you can read. Obviously, reading books is great, but like you can study and you can learn as much as possible. But sometimes until you do it, you don't know, do you?
Completely agree with you there. You think you'll know it 100% going into it if you spend years and years studying it, but you probably learn more in the first like 6 months actually doing it than you could have in 10 years looking over everything, because there's going to be things out there that you're just never going to expect or plan for.
Exactly. I think it's like that in almost every, I might be wrong, but almost every industry. Do you know? I'm sure that it's like you can read about it, learn about it as much as possible until you're actually in there in the thick of it. Then you're like,
it's a different thing.
Oh yeah, didn't realize how bad this could go, or didn't realize how well this could go. So that's I look forward to learning as I go along. I've already learned loads off the guys I'm working with my mates in Loughborough. I've already learned a ton off them. Every time I go up there and we have a meeting, I come away like with this like little buzz, like I've learned this and that, and so that's always good, because as long as you enjoy learning, it's going to keep you going, isn't it?
I think progression is like key, isn't it? If you haven't got that, then and you stood still.
Yeah. Just plateau.
It's a weird place to be, isn't it? Yeah.
So luckily I enjoy that side of it as well, and I like listening and learning off people.
Yeah.
Especially like guys like them, or other experiences, or things like watching YouTube videos and things like that. And on like similar business startups or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got a few friends who started their own business and they're doing like fantastically well. So anything they've got to say, I'm like, oh, listen, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
So that's all. I think you just got to open your mind and open your listen. You're not going to get anywhere if you're stubborn. Do you know, if you're going to be like, I can do this, I can do that. I don't need that help. I don't need that help. And the more you open up and all that sort of thing, then
it's a weird thing because you kind of taught to keep your ideas into yourself, aren't you? But I think if you start putting yourself out there, chances are, most people are afraid to put it out there in case someone kind of steals their idea.
Yeah.
But chances are they're not going to have the same passion you've got about that particular thing.
It's similar. It's when you say that. It's like that with the trademark. My boss, I was telling you, that gave me a kick up the arse at the pub. She came in one day and was like, "You need to get this trademarked." I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it." About 4 or 5 weeks went past, and she went, "You trademarked it yet?" I was like, "Shh, I knew it was something I had to do." She was like, "Get home and do it." She would text me when you get home and tell me you've trademarked it. So I did that night, and I was like, I've done it. So she was like, "Because you've told a few people about this now, someone's going to nab it." I was
you just never know, I suppose. You never know.
No. So yeah, I was lucky. I think.
Yeah. So 5 years from now, where do you see it?
A bigger range, a bigger team, hopefully. I'm not that I'm doing it on my own because obviously I've got those guys, but like I'd love to have people working with me. Some sort of like, I don't know whether someone in the creative side or on the social media side or anything like that. That sort of maybe like a small team. Like I say, much bigger range. So sort of like a variation, different style jackets rather than sort of like, I think I've got 3 jackets online at the moment, and I mean all different colours, but you've got 3 styles.
Yeah,
I'd love to open that up and have like more variations on it. I'd love to have stuff in other shops so as well. So it's like other shops, it'd be nice if they wanted to buy them off me, but it's going to be me pushing out there, I think, and going to shops and being like, would you fancy stocking this or would you fancy stocking that? And that would be big for me, I think, on the wholesale front. If people would, other reputable shops would like to to sell my stuff, I think that would be a big step.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the sort of area I'd like to hit probably within 5 years, and hopefully it becomes steady.
Yeah. I don't see why not. I think you should be getting out to them shops now, mate.
Yeah.
Stick a few things out there.
It's a funny thing because it's like, do I hit independence? I think independence is probably the one to go to first. But again, like I say, I'm learning as I go along, so I don't know what's. I might try with one and fail with one, but then I try with a big business and get there, and you don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's like individual taste as well. You could go to like one of the biggest firms and someone may look at it and think, that is me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I'm into that. I'll buy that. And so it's like, so it is. I think that is probably the next step now. Once I get autumn, winter, once we get fully into autumn, winter, or it might even be a fact of getting through Christmas first, because who knows how that's going to go with the whole situation at the moment.
It's a weird time.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stories in there about like Christmas not happening and things like that, and people being in the house on their own and things like that. So it might be a matter of getting through Christmas first. I'm sure, hopefully, my stuff will be presents for a lot of people. Fingers crossed about that. That'd be great. So might get through that and then look into sort of maybe start pushing it to some shops and stuff in the spring, summer. Yeah. In 2021, and see if anybody's interested. If not, I keep selling it myself for now and then try again.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think like just don't give up.
Yeah,
just don't give up.
As long as as long as I've got a channel where I'm selling it, as long as that's continuing, then if you get knocked back, you get knocked back. I'll bring it up next season and try it again with that stuff and be like, here you are, this is the next season. What do you think of this? Do you want to sell this? So, I'm going to try and see where it leads from there. But that would be a good next step, I think. Yeah.
Do you want to speak a little bit on what keeps you motivated now, keeps you pushing forward?
Yeah. So there was a 2019. As weird as 2020 has been, 2019 is probably the weirdest and shittest of my life. So like with the redundancy in April, in October, which is actually like this week is the first year anniversary. But my dad passed away, unfortunately, really quickly.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's one of those things where like I'd never lost anybody before. I never lost anyone close to me, but like I've lost grandparents and all that, but they've always lived far away, and I was never that close to them. Obviously, it was a sad time and everything, but it was never. So this is the first time I've like sort of lost someone who's always been in my life, always been impacted. Especially for like, you know, I was 29 when he died, so like 29 years I'd known him, and he'd been there with me, lived with me. Do you know what I mean? So like it was out of the blue. Yeah, he started to fall ill in like September. Within 4 weeks, he was gone, and it was mad.
He's quick.
Yeah, he was in hospital 2 weeks, stayed at 2 weeks at home, and then he passed away at home with us all. There's no nice way to go, obviously, but like we were all around his bed. It was one of those situations. It could have gone worse, especially when you see people, what's going on now, and you're seeing people are dying in hospitals, and they can't even have the family there, but all their hand. Do you know what it was? They're covered, obviously, there's nurses, but they're all strangers to them. It's like, that is heartbreaking, especially now. You don't want to say that we had it good because we've lost like our dad. Do you know what I mean? But I've got two brothers. I've got two brothers. I've got my mum. Like, but seeing how people are losing people now is horrendous and heartbreaking. So we kind of feel lucky, if that's the way to put it, that it was before this chaos. Like before this chaos, so we could have the final 2 weeks at home with him. We all said what we wanted to say. There's a funny story actually where he was. I think it was like, it must have been the week before he died. He was still quite alert and still cracking jokes and everything. And he come to terms with it. We kind of one by one went in and said what we had to say to him. Like I say, he was still alert, still talking, still fine, still great. So we went in one by one. My brother went in first. He came out crying and was like, oh, this is so hard. But both my brothers are 10 years older than me. Yeah. So like, so that he went in and then I went in and asked. And I was chatting to him. I sat by his side, on his hand and all, having a chat. And, you know, the tears were going. I was like thanking him for everything and all this and always being there for me and teaching me all this stuff. And I was like, right, I got something to show you. And my plan was, I've not integrated it into the brand yet, but my plan is, because obviously he was the Falconer. You know, the Falconer obviously came from his side. So like the brand being like the Falconer tartan and the name coming from the Falconer badge, it's all very sort of his side of the family. So I was like, I've got something to show you. And it was like a Harrington-style jacket where I wanted to have GBF, which was his initials, like Graham Bruce Falconer. And I wanted to have them sort of hidden on every garment somewhere, whether it be like a little bit under the hem or just a little stitching somewhere, so that if it did, you know, go global and people were wearing it in America or Sweden or whatever, they would be wearing it without knowing that they've got his initials on it. And it meant something to me. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I think that's amazing.
And so I was like, right, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do it. And one of the lads knocked up the graphic for me on the Harrington jacket. Yeah. And put it on the cuff, GBF. And I showed my dad. My dad's lying in bed. I was like, Dad, I got something to show you. And he just thought it was a jacket. He just went, oh, yeah, that's nice. Another jacket. He went, oh, that's nice, yeah. And I went, yeah, but zoom in on the cuff. And he was looking at it. And he zoomed in to the cuff. And he just spotted GBF. And he literally just, like, let out this biggest, like, the biggest wail of a cry you've ever seen. Like, and he was like, oh, and I broke down and I grabbed him. My mum and my brother come running in, like, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah. Thinking that, like, you know, the worst that happened. I was like, it's okay. I'm just, you know, having a moment. Yeah. So he was like, I'm glad that he got to see that. I was gutted that he never got to see the actual first ever samples. He only got to see like the graphics, but I would have loved him to have it in his hand and see it. Because the first samples did actually have GBF on them. I removed them for the first collection because it was kind of difficult to get done. Yeah. But it's definitely something that's going to come back. Mate, as it grows, it's going to put it on it, whether it be like a little tab, whether it be on the size label, just hidden somewhere. Yeah. Do you know, I'm going to have it. So like everybody's wearing his initials without knowing it. Well, they know it now.
Yeah, they know it now. yeah. But mate, I think that's like, it's just like impactful, man. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that as well.
No, it's good, man. Like I've noticed because he back to your original question, it's kind of him and my mum and my family that keep me motivated. Yeah, I spoke about my friends and my friend at the pub and my other friends that like Kirsty I used to live with and all that and now my girlfriend's pushing me, like she's like my number one fan. Anything I bring out, she's like, I love it. So obviously I'm getting motivation from everywhere, but he's still in the back of my mind, like wanting to make him proud. So it's kind of like it's like it's mad. I can't explain it. It's like being pushed without anyone being there. Yeah, you know I mean, like little things. Like I think little things to myself. Like I wonder what you'd say about this. I wonder what you'd say about that. And where he thinks I should go next with the band, or
Yeah.
what he thinks I should do. So I question what he'd think on everything that I do. And I think that's probably a good thing, because I think it's like trying to live up to his standards. And he was like, if you knew him, you'd know that he was like totally top guy. I'm not saying it because of my dad. He was like a stand-up guy. Got on with all my mates. He'd come down the pub, and I'd been in the pub, and everyone would be like, "Your dad coming out tonight?" Like, no, he's not. Just me, all right. And like, oh, it's like, well,
not you again.
Yeah. I was like, I'll bring him next time. And he, I go home, and he'd be like asking after me. Were they? I was like, yeah, they were actually. Yeah, they were. So like, yeah, he got on with everybody. All my friends always got on with him. I could say everybody, strangers, got on with him. Never seen a dog dislike him. It was mad. He used to get me to come and help him with washing machines, delivering them back when I was like 15 or 16. And I'd walk into his house, and his dog would be going mental, and I'd be staying away from it like that, and it'd be going mad, and he'd go mad at him, and he'd just go, shut up, and it'd be all over him, hugging him, licking him. He would look at me, and it'd show its teeth, and I'd be like, Jesus. So I used to call him the dog whisperer, and he'd be like, yeah, I am. I've never seen a dog like...
Dog's a good judge of character.
Yeah, definitely. So
not saying anything about you.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, God. We're just about to get one as well.
Yeah,
we're just about getting new
actually,
dogs, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's one thing my dad said to my mum before he died, was like, get yourself a little dog. So we've actually, like, a year on, we're getting one within about 8 weeks, I think. So
cool.
So that's going to mean something as well. It's going to be like So but yeah, he's the one that keeps me going. Really keeps me boosted. Obviously, you get down days, get good days, you get down days. I've never struggled talking about it to anybody. Do you know, like, and I think luckily working in a pub kind of helped that. I remember when it happened, I had the weekend off, and I said to my mates at the pub, I was like, look, just make sure, let all the regulars know, because last thing I wanted to do was come in and people go, how's your dad? Because they knew he was unwell, and we have to say,
right, yeah.
Do you know? So I was like, let them know, and instead it was a lot easier, because I was coming in and people going, oh, sorry to hear. Do you know what I mean? So it was a lot easier then, and everyone's been mad supportive. Like, I couldn't have got through it without some of the people in my life being as great as they have been. So that was big for me. He is like the main motivator. So, like I say, it's horrible, and this breaks my heart. I've got people close to me that are going through a similar thing, and I've said to them, like, they've said, like, how do you handle this, or how do you deal with that? I was like, there's no rule about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just got to, I don't know how I was going to handle it. There's no, like, rules of how long you should take to get over it. There's no rules of when you should go back to work, or whether you should give up work, or whether you should do, literally, like, take it however you feel.
So individual and so personal. Yeah. Isn't it? Because everyone's got a different relationship with people as well.
Yeah. I tend to, like, I tend to set, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but, like, I tend to set time aside to get upset. Do you know what I mean? I'll get upset when I go to the grave. I get upset when I'm maybe on my own, like, and I'm thinking about him, or something reminds me of him.
Yeah.
I don't, like, since this happened, I've never broke down in public about it, which is quite mad. Like, I never thought I'd be like that. I thought I'd be like the one that's like, oh no, all the time. Yeah. So that is that surprised me, and I think that you learn a lot about yourself when something like this happens.
Yeah.
I think that, like, it can change you a bit. I had, like, an anxiety issue since I was about 16, and I was always been nervous about everything, and I was like, it was worse when I was maybe like early 20s, when I was 20, 21, but it did start to go. Since he went, I kind of, like, it's kind of gone. Yeah. It's mad, because, like, it's kind of like a wake-up call of, obviously I still get little bits, but it's kind of a wake-up call of, like, you know, you're not going to be here forever, so don't waste time worrying and getting anxious about. And it was easier said than done, but it was like a light bulb, like a light bulb moment. Another light bulb moment. It was like, I'm not going to waste any more time sitting there and panicking about this or worrying about that, like things that might not happen. Because if I'm on my deathbed one day, I'm going to think, why did I waste all that time worrying?
Yeah, because you can spend hours of your day worrying about something that's usually irrelevant.
I would, like, if I had something like an event or something coming up, like, say, on the Monday of the next week, I'd worry about it all week. Do you know what I mean? It would disrupt my sleeping, and as closer I get to the end of the week, I'd start getting the butterflies, and I'd be like, so it would get, and then on the day, obviously, it'd be really bad. As soon as I walk out of whatever it is that made me nervous, I'd be like a new man. I'd be like, it's like a release.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even get that. I think, like, do you know what's there to be afraid of?
You've got to live in the moment a bit as well, haven't you? Because when you've got these anxieties, you're carrying them around with you, and you, and, mate, I think, like, probably going through a hard time with your dad is probably made you realise that all these other things probably are
Yeah.
quite minor for you compared to that?
Do you know what? I would say that probably the last time I was really, the last time I was like that anxious was at his funeral, and it's only because I guess obviously I've been to funerals before, but I've never been front row at a funeral when it's someone in your close family. Do you know? And I thought I'm walking in there, I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know if I'm going to cry at the funeral. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going to be. So that's what kind of made me anxious. I've always been an overthinker, so that made me anxious about that, because I missed him like mad. But I thought, am I going to be able to keep it together in front of people?
Yeah, vulnerable moment,
especially when everybody's looking at you. You're thinking, what am I going to do? So that was probably the last time that. And then after that, I remember walking out of there and thought, do you know what? If you can sit at your dad's funeral and hold a conversation with everybody and chat to everybody and thank them all for coming and all that, you do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can, so that's kind of my outlook on it now.
Yeah.
Anytime I feel a bit anxious or something, I kind of think, well, I did that.
Been through worse than this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like, and it kind of disappears. So it's a strange thing, the mind, isn't it?
It is, mate. Yeah.
The way it plays on you and the way it makes you think.
I think it's definitely like one of the biggest factors in anything you do.
I think so. Confidence is a massive thing, isn't it?
You can restrict yourself so much, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it for years. Yeah. Like literally.
Yeah.
I think everyone has, mate. Everyone I've had in here so far has talked about like most people that have come in here have kind of been through something, and then it's kind of opened their eyes to what they're doing now.
It's like a life experience that will just sort of wake you up.
Yeah, it's like wasted so much time. But you can't look at it like that, because everyone's going to have that at a different time in their life.
It does make me like it does give me sort of little regrets sometimes where I think, well, why didn't I join that moment? Because rather than being nervous about it, like, and little things like that.
Yeah.
But it gives you that front of like, well, in the future, do you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. In the future, I'm going to enjoy the moment, and I'm going to, like you said, live in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what. And it kind of like relates back to that in a way.
Does,
Like live that you may live. It kind of like enjoy.
It all ties in.
Yeah, enjoy your life, because like, we're not here for long, so get on and enjoy it. Do what
you never know. You never know when it's going to go.
Exactly. So it is. Yeah, it was one of those life-changing things, and I know my brother said to my mum, like, he's changed me, but I feel very different to what I used to be.
Yeah.
Like not this time last year, because this time last year I was going through it, but like, say before the redundancy, I think 2019, when I'm older and I look back and think 2019 was like a year that changed me. Like, which I don't know if I think as much as it was trauma, it's changed me in a good way.
Yeah.
That makes
Mate, that's good, because everything you've said in here tonight is like every negative you've had, like your dad passing, you're looking at it in a positive way, that you got to spend them last moments. And that's like, there's not many people who would be necessarily looking at it that way, a lot of people are looking at it.
I think, like, I don't want to use the term like not dwelling on it, because I think like I said earlier, there's no rules about it. You dwell on it as long as you want. If you want to dwell on it, it makes you feel better to dwell on it. But I think sometimes like thinking, all right, that's happened to me, I'm gonna try and make the best of it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't get that job back. I can't bring him back. So I'm like, well, what can I do? What is in my control?
Yeah.
Well, now, my mum, my brothers, my family, all that. So like, they're my main priorities. Do you know what I mean? Like that's who I'm looking after.
That's class.
So that's like, there is things like seeing your mum on your own and things like that break your heart, but you see it and you're like, well, you're there for it. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. So it's difficult and it's hard, but like I say, I don't know what I'm going to be like this weekend. He passed away on the Friday, on the 11th, which is now, I think, is it leap year? So it's now Sunday is the 11th. So
it would be Sunday.
So Sunday is the actual day, but Friday would be to the day, if that makes any sense. So like this weekend, I don't know, it's going to go one way or the other. I might want to go out and get hammered. I might want to just crawl under the duvet and not see anyone. So I don't know. It's going to be, again, that's going to be another learning curve in it to see how I prefer to do it.
I hope you and all your family have as good a weekend as you can have.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's difficult because my brother lives in Bromell. That's locked down.
Oh, mate.
My other brother lives in Watford with his family, and that's not locked down at the moment, but now they're saying whether Monmouthshire's going to end up locked down or not. So we don't know what's going to happen between now and the weekend, but we did plan on all going to the grave and all seeing each other. But we'll see what happens now. Like, again, see what's within our control. And see what
that's
we
it,
can
mate.
do about it. If it can't come down, then a couple of weeks' time we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
But as long as we mark it, I guess. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, mate, for sure.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But well, I think we're gonna leave it here, mate.
Leave it on that note.
Honestly, like, thanks for coming on, mate.
No, thank you for having me, man.
You and your story, man. It's inspirational, and
thank you.
I really wish you well with the brand and the future. Just before we end it there, where can they find it and find you?
Obviously all the social media channels. So you got I'm on Twitter, which actually doesn't get that much attention. If you think it would, but Instagram and Facebook are the two big ones to follow, and it's just Vive Ut Vivas at Vive Ut Vivas, LTD, and the website is www.viveutvivas.com or .co.uk. Both will direct you straight to the website.
Righto.
Okay.
Wicked, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, mate. And I'll chuck some links in the description of the video.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And like and subscribe to the channel. Cheers, guys.
Perfect. Thank you.